All right, guys, welcome to the show. What are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about mentorship. How do you find one? How do you know if your mentor is good? And there's a lot of mentors out there potentially, but not all of them are going to say yes to you. So we're going to be talking about that. Now, I want to introduce you guys to an author, a business philosopher. His name is Jim Rohn. He wrote this book, 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. This is a book definitely you want to pick up, and I'll tell you why. This man has influenced many people that you guys look up to today. People like Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Darren Hardy, and Gary Vaynerchuk. So when you guys want to go to the source and you're looking at these mentors that are alive today, that are relevant today, where did they get the information from? Who did they learn from? So I like to go to the source. And so Jim Rohn has this wonderful book out. You can buy it. He's passed away, but I'm sure his family or his estate would appreciate you buying the book. Or you can watch his videos on YouTube. There's a bunch of them out there. He literally will read you the entire book, and that's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome that that's available to you. But one of the concepts he shared with us is, if you want to know who you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So you have to look around your environment and your world. Who are you spending your time with? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And do these people make you feel positive, neutral, or negative? Do they have an outlook on life that's uplifting? And you can start to ask yourself too about, when you're hanging around with these people, what are you thinking? What are you talking about? What are you guys reading, watching together? And this is really important because this will change the course of your life. And there's a concept that people have said many ways before, but everything you do matters. Everything counts. So start looking at the people you spend time with. I think that's particularly relevant to what we're going to talk about today. We'll dive into this and a lot more with our live audience on Zoom, and we'll be interacting with you guys on Facebook and YouTube, of course, as we always do. I want to let you guys know this is real, this is unedited, this is raw. We got it. Welcome back. The show title worked. The music is working. Beautiful job, you guys. Beautiful. It's almost like we didn't rehearse and you guys are amazing. Spot on. Bravo. All right. So you guys know who Gary Vaynerchuk is. He was asked this question, like, give me one piece of advice. And you know what he said? He said a much more raw version of what Jim Rohn said, which is, get rid of your loser friend. You've got this one loser friend that you've been hanging around with for too long, and they're dragging you down. They have all these negative, pessimistic thoughts. They tend to blame others for the situation they're in. They don't take responsibility for who they are and what they do. And it starts to affect you. You start to think like that. You start to blame people. You don't take accountability for the things that are happening in your life. And that's really, really important. All right. So what we want to do is we want to feed our mind. We want to nurture growth of new ideas. And so we got to look outside. So aside from books, magazines, what else can you do? Who can you talk to? So one thing that this book, we got the book that I'm reading right now, The Power of Self-Confidence by Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy, check out this book. This is a very good book. I'm not quite done reading this book yet. And I'm going to tell you about one thing that I learned from this book. In this book, he said, you know what? Not all of us have access to mentors. And it's not realistic that you can call up Mark Cuban or call up anybody and say, will you mentor me? Because they get asked this all the time by a lot of different people. So what you should do is you should prepare yourself for the day in which you might actually bump into Mark Cuban or Gary Vaynerchuk. So what you want to do is you want to read their biographies. You want to read biographies, articles, stories about successful people, people that you look up to, people that have accomplished things in their life that are very optimistic, so that your mind will change. So you'll notice this. If you don't feed your mind, if you don't feed your brain, when you're hanging out with people, what are you talking about? Well, you're going to talk about what happened on the Jersey Shore. You're going to be talking about a music video you saw. So those are not really high-level conversations, right? So when you're actually bumping into somebody of note, somebody that you really wanted to make an impression on, or if you're just listening into a conversation, at least you have some base level of knowledge and some commonality, and then you can contribute to the conversation. So what I'm going to tell you right now, what you need to do is you need to start reading the biographies of people that are really successful, watch their videos, read their stories, watch their interviews, do all of those things, so that when you actually do come into contact with them or people like them, you're going to be able to talk about the similar things. Now, I'm going to turn it over to our live Zoom audience. Let's see. Who's on deck? I think it's Manav. You're up. Unmute yourself, and let's get this show on the road.
Hi, Chris.
Give me 1 second. Let me make sure that you pop up speaker view. Nope, not you. Zach, mute yourself. Everybody mute yourself unless your name is Manav. And if there's two Manavs in it, you know which one I'm talking about. Where are you? Why won't it pop up? Okay, let me spotlight you then. Oh, why is this popping up now? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Go ahead. You're live.
Hi, Chris. I'm Manav. I'm from Hyderabad, India. My question is, I contacted a potential mentor once, but he told me no straight away. And I don't know what went wrong.
Okay. Well, I just want to say this to you, Manav. Just because you ask somebody to mentor you, you shouldn't anticipate or expect that they're going to say yes right away. Okay? If you ask a girl out on a date or a girl to marry you, it doesn't mean she's going to say yes. And that has no reflection. I don't want you to look at it like what went wrong, why doesn't he like me, all these kinds of things. You have to remember the people that you look up to, the people who have accomplished things, they lead busy lives. They're doing lots of things. And you're not the only person, you're not going to be the last person to come up and ask them to be their mentor. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Do I have to do the whole thing again?
No, it just cut out as soon as we cut to the. It was like.
All right, fine. We are good. We're back. We're back on air. Okay, who's got the second question, please?
Wait, there's still no sound.
No, there's sound. Relax.
Oh, we're good.
Who's got the second question?
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Anna.
Hello. Hi. I have the second question. I'm Anna Maria. I live in Vienna and I'm an architect. I would like to know how to approach a mentor. What would be the most successful approach, either live or online? And a follow-up question to Minai. Would you recommend maybe approaching a mentor that is maybe just a few steps ahead of you, not somebody like Mark Cuban, or maybe, in my case, mildly more successful architect?
Well, I don't think you have to limit who you're going to ask. You can try to ask anybody. I think for me, you need to build a relationship with them, build some kind of rapport if possible, because you're coming in cold. They don't know who you are. They don't know if you're a psycho. They don't know how much time you're expecting from them. So maybe you need to be clear about what your ask is. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want 10 minutes of their time a week, a month? Do you want them to look at something that you've done? So maybe you can be a little bit more specific in your ask. It's okay for you to ask whoever the world's most famous architect that you want to talk to. Okay? Perhaps it would be nice if you were able to come up to them in email or in person and say to them, I read your book on this and I loved your thought on architecture and modernity, or whatever it is you want to say, and to be very specific about it. That way they're like, wow, this person has taken some time and invested energy into learning about me and understanding my thoughts, and they want to go deeper. And so here's a word of caution for some of you guys. I don't want you to like be lazy about this. Like you haven't read their books, you haven't listened to their podcasts, you haven't watched their biographies or their interviews. If you haven't done that, you shouldn't even begin to ask like, will you be my mentor? Because you're just being super lazy. You're saying my time is more valuable than your time. And that's exactly the opposite. Like I'm going to do the work. I'm going to take notes. I've learned everything. I've gone to your lectures. I've watched your films. I've watched everything that I can. I've consumed so much, and I'm hitting this point in my life and I'm getting stuck right here. Is that okay?
Sounds good. But what if this person doesn't write books? A lot of great architects are much more busy running the show rather than writing books.
It's true.
You're,
So what if they don't ever write or publish anything ever?
They do go to conferences.
They do go to conferences. They do speak.
But not a lot of them are online. So if you're not in New York, then I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. That's tough. That is really tough. I don't know what the answer to that is. Find a mentor who's a little bit more visible then.
Okay.
Maybe you admire their work, but maybe you don't admire their thinking because you can't figure it out. So I'm going to make a suggestion to you guys, and I hope I don't offend anybody, okay? There are a lot of great artists in the world, whether they're architects, they're designers, animators, whatever it is, but they don't know how to say what it is they think. That's not going to help you, okay? You need to find somebody who is prolific at sharing their thoughts, and you can understand what they're thinking, their philosophy, their attitude towards things, and then approach those people, all right? That would be my suggestion to you. So a lot of designers and creative types are very introverted. They don't like public speaking. They're too busy. They don't want to write. They don't want to share their process because of whatever reason. They don't have time for it. Those are probably not going to be great mentors for you to start with anyway. So let's move on from those. Okay, are we good?
Okay.
All right. Great.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. All right. Whoever's up, bye. Whoever's up number 3, let's go. Is that Monique?
Hey, Chris.
Hold on. Where's your videos? There we are. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, go ahead. Fire away.
Hi, I'm Monique from Kingston, Jamaica. And my question is, how do I know when it's the right time to seek out a mentor?
How do you know if it's the right time to seek out a mentor?
How do I know when I need one, basically?
Okay, perfect question. Monique wants to know, how does she know when she needs one? Well, I think we need mentors like for all of our life. So at the beginning of your life, your mentor is most likely going to be your parents. It could be an older brother or sister or an aunt or uncle that you really look up to. Like everybody, not everybody, I should say, if you look deep enough into your family and your friends of family, chances are there's somebody that's doing something really exciting that connects with you. Maybe they're a successful business person, maybe they're an architect or a composer or something like that, and you're fascinated by them. So strike up a conversation with them and ask them, like, I want to learn more about what it is that you're doing. It fascinates me. Would you be willing to allow me to tag along on some of your meetings or when you're working? I just want to be a fly on the wall, make it really easy. So those are your early stage mentors, the people that you grow up with, the people they have access to. And, don't overlook your own parents. A lot of times we dismiss our parents as kind of being old fashioned. They don't know what they're talking about, and they've lived a whole life and they have experiences and knowledge to share with you. Okay. And I would start there. And as you go through school, it could be a high school teacher, a junior high teacher, a college instructor, somebody like that you really connect with, that they have a passion for what it is that they're doing and teaching. And I would approach them. Ask them if you can intern for them. Ask them if they need an assistant, even to carry their bag or anything that you can do to be around people like this. And this is not advice I'm giving you that I myself haven't done. I asked one of my typography instructors, Simon Johnson from Arts Center, can I be your intern? Do you need one? And he's never had an intern before. I said, I don't really care what I do. I just want to be of assistance to you. So I drove out almost an hour each way just so I can go grab him lunch or whatever it is he needed, because I wanted to be surrounded by the man. I wanted to see where he worked, his studio. I wanted to see the books he read, his process, his approach, the whole thing. And I would just mine for any little kernel of knowledge I could. I wanted to make it really easy for him. Unfortunately, the sad part of this is, as I wanted to give back to him because he gave me so much, I totally screwed up on a job. And hopefully, Simon, you're not watching this. I'm so sorry. I messed up on one of your jobs and it cost him thousands of dollars. So what an idiot I was. He forgave me for it. It was all fine. All right. Okay. Thank you for your question, Monique. Do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I do have a follow-up question. So what if it's been a while since you've been in school, like maybe 7, 8 years since I graduated college. So, like, where do I find people who I can connect with? Like right now, I find people online, but then I'm in Jamaica, and sometimes it's very difficult for me to find persons who I can learn from here.
All right. So if you're in some kind of remote location, like you're in Jamaica, and there's not going to be a lot of people that you can have access to, I get it. If you're in a village somewhere, if you're in some remote part of Siberia or wherever you're at, how are you going to find your mentor? Now, a lot of people assume that you have to be face-to-face talking to your mentor and that they have to give you personal attention. I don't think that's the case. Now, before the internet was invented, there was no other way to find out about what somebody thought except for to read their book or watch about, like, what is it called? A documentary film on who they are, and that, or attend a lecture. That was the only way you could do it. And now we're connected through technology, and a lot of people put themselves out there. They make videos. And so what I would suggest, and we've talked about this before, it's an idea that I borrowed from Michael Beirut. It's just to hijack your mentor. They don't even need to know that they're mentoring you. You can watch, like, for example, for us, you can listen to our podcast. You can read my little tweets or the posts and the articles I write, and you can understand what it is I think. Now, that sometimes you guys watch the show and you see me and I get a little agitated, or maybe I get really agitated, not just a little bit. Is because people keep asking me the questions like, I've already said this 100 times in 3 different formats. There's a SlideShare deck. There's a YouTube video on it. There's an article I wrote about it. And so my question, and the reason why I get agitated about it is, man, you're just really lazy. So I don't even want to mentor you because you haven't even done any work. When the vast knowledge of the world is only a fingertip away, and all you have to do is type and search that. You're saying to me, and this is insulting to me now, that you can't be bothered just to try and type and search. There's no penalty for guessing. Like if you search and it doesn't give you what you want, there's no penalty. So start searching, you guys. Everything you want to know is there, okay? And I do want to touch back on this book a little bit, The Power of Self-Confidence. And I want to say this. Somebody asked me, is this book going to help me become more confident? And are you reading it for that reason? And so here's the answer. I think this book will help you. It's not helping me personally. It's affirming a lot of the beliefs I have. And so when I go out and I speak and share, I want to make sure that I'm not just inventing stuff out of the thin air. So I'm reading this book to help other people become more confident. Okay. And I forgot to mention, I want to thank everybody that has been using our Amazon affiliate link. I do appreciate it. It's a couple of bucks here and there. I know it costs you nothing. So if you guys go out of your way to use our Amazon affiliate link to buy anything, it really does help this channel. So there's a lot of people who want to contribute and help us, and they don't have money. They don't have any other resource that we can use. Well, when you go buy something naturally, just use our affiliate link. Okay? All right. I'm going to move on. Is that okay, Monique? Okay. Who's up? Zach, who we got next? Thank you.
It's me. Oh, am I not the
You're there. You're there. You're up.
Okay. Okay, cool. My name is Mael, and I am originally from Rio, Brazil, and I live in Lake Tahoe right now. I'm a graphic designer, work with editorial design right now. And my question is how I can get you, Chris, to be my mentor.
Now, I want to ask you this question, Mael. Of all the things I've just said right now, has that impacted your thinking and your question at all?
Yes, a lot.
Okay,
so
how would you answer your own question then?
I think I need to be more ready. I need to research more about you and maybe come first with a plan because I know how busy you are. So maybe get a specific point where I need guidance, have things ready, have a 30-minute talk to you if it's bi-weekly or monthly, just to get me back on track or just to say, yep, that's what you're doing. That's not. And I guess, what do you think?
Beautiful. Well said. I love it when people come to self-realization and they can answer their own questions. That's awesome. That means you're listening. So now you just demonstrated to me, Mael, that you're a person worthy and like somebody I would spend time with because you're showing me just in the few minutes that we've been talking online that you're already picking up things. You're a fast learner. I like to work with people who are ready to sprint, to learn. They're like sponges and they want to absorb and they're not sit there and stuck in their own path, right? I love that. So beautiful job. So go ahead and go do that, and then we'll be in touch at some point in the future, okay? So
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna do a little scenario with you guys, okay? I want you guys to think about this. You know, there's somebody you want to do business with, and you're trying to set up an appointment. The thing they say to not do is just to reach out and say, hey, can we meet? Well, that's pretty abstract. So you should say, does Tuesday or Wednesday at 3 p.m. work better for you? That way they can respond. And that only gives them two choices to make, and that's a sales technique. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but when you're asking somebody to mentor you, be specific. Could you spare 10 minutes a month talking to me about this concept that I've heard you speak about, and this is where I'm at in life, and I won't take more of your time than that? Or maybe it's only one call, one meeting, and tell them a little bit of a story. Don't give them the whole biography of your life. And what people don't understand is this. They're sending me comments and questions all the time, and they write this much, and then the question is buried in there somewhere. And I look at it not because I'm turned off by it. It's just I don't have time to read your questions, so I just move on to the next one. And somebody asks me a very succinct, really super concise question, I answer it right away because I don't have to read all this stuff, right? So you guys will learn by watching this show. There's a very specific way that I personally like to be asked the question. Just come at me, ask the question, be strong, and then I will ask follow-up questions if I need some clarity, okay? People just want to tell you their life story or something like that, okay? All right. Thank you very much. Do you have a follow-up question or are we good? We're good. Beautiful. I think at this point in time, cut back to me, we should take some questions from YouTube and on Facebook. You guys, we're going to run to 12:30 today. I have to go do something at 12:30, so I can't go all bananas like last time. Here we go. Here's the first question. It's coming in. It says, should a mentor be in a different profession than you are? That is a great question. Should a mentor be in a different profession than you are? I don't want to put labels on this kind of stuff. If you admire the way somebody thinks, ask them. If you need to learn things about business, or if you're an architect and you want to architect that's been in business or been running a practice for 20, 30 years longer than you, that does make a lot of sense. It doesn't really matter. You need to seek out the person that you relate to, that what they're saying, what they're thinking resonates with you personally, okay? So that would be, I remember before we went live, we were talking about this, about what makes for a good mentor. And I think I answered this a little bit already. What makes for a good mentor is, I think, somebody who can articulate what they think, who is the energy level is compatible with yours. If you go really fast, you don't want somebody who talks really, really slow because it'll drive you crazy, right? Before they can finish their sentence, you're going to interrupt them and then you're going to drive them crazy. We don't want to do that. So if you like to talk fast and you move really quickly, find somebody who does the same thing. That way you guys can connect, okay? All right. What other questions do we have? Okay, here we go. We're coming in. And who's monitoring YouTube? You're doing YouTube? You're doing Facebook?
Both of us.
Both? Okay, great.
All right. We have a question, super chat question.
Super chat question. Woo!
Yep.
Super chat.
We want to thank Bien Pham.
Bien Pham. That's a brother from another mother.
One of
Bien
the
Pham.
brothers.
All right, Bien
But
Pham.
before we go into this, we just want to remind everybody, if you guys like what we're doing, if you guys could like, comment, or share the stream.
Your audio's cutting out, dude.
Appreciated.
Get that mic close to you, man.
Okay.
There you go.
Yep. So if you guys appreciate what we're doing, please like, comment, and share the stream. So going around to Bien Pham's question through Super Chat, he's asking, he says he apprenticed under a fine arts master, Ash Thorp, and wants to continue the legacy, but doesn't know how to convey his knowledge efficiently. Do you have any advice or resources on mentoring? That's essentially the show here.
He wants to be a mentor? He wants to share the knowledge, continue the legacy? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's look at the playbook from your mentor, Ash Thorp, who I've recently developed a friendship with Ash, and I think he's a pretty cool guy. So what does Ash do? Let's look at what he does. Ash does a podcast. He started a company called Learn Squared. He goes around the world speaking. So I would just follow in his footsteps. This is what your mentor's done. Why don't you do the same? And he's produced videos that are on YouTube as well. So let's start really simple. Start with what you know really well. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. Let's say you know one trick in Photoshop. Let's say you know how to cut out hair really fast. Do a screen capture of that, like the video process, talk it through, and start to practice and share that with the world. I think that's very low-hanging fruit. It doesn't cost anything, right? It doesn't cost anything, and it's easy to do. So go do that. Start recording a podcast, right? Get a mic out. Start recording your thoughts. Have a conversation with people. Just bring a mic with you. I see somebody's hand waving in the Zoom there. You brought your wife or girlfriend in there. Marius, I see you. All right. Does that answer the question? What do you think? All right. Ben, thank you for that question. I hope I didn't butcher your name. I'm sorry, my brother from another mother. Let's keep going on. Any other questions and comments?
We have another donation.
We have another super chat question.
From Glendon Young.
I cannot hear you, so ask for him. Okay,
We
there you
have
go.
a question from Glendon Young,
Yeah?
and he says,
You got to speak to the mic.
what are some tips for preparing a first meet with a new mentor?
Ooh, that is a good question. How come it's the people that donate money that come in with all the good questions? Why is that? That's a great question. Okay, so let's talk about this, guys. What do you need to do to prepare for your first meeting with a mentor? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Mark,
Brush your
Aaron?
teeth.
Brush your teeth. Aaron says brush your teeth. Make sure you brush your teeth. Okay, that's a good one. What else?
Take some notes on what your problems are.
Take some notes. This is before the meeting. So you're going to prepare some questions ahead of time. Good. Go ahead.
Talk about what you expect to gain out of the mentorship.
Talk about what you expect to gain out of the mentorship. Okay. This is all very good. So there's a little prep work that you need to do. I think it's good to make a strong first impression. If you're going to meet face-to-face, if you're going to do a call, let's talk about those two differences. If you're going to meet face-to-face, let's get the grooming and the hygiene in order. That goes without saying. Go look your best. Be sharp, okay? Because people judge you, unfortunately. We all do. We judge each other about the way you carry yourself, how you look, how your hair is, you know? We judge people. That's just the way it is. And your glasses, whatever. And so look sharp. Be ready for that like it's a job interview. Take the person and the time very seriously, okay? And before you show up, you're going to have your questions and certain thoughts. It might be nice to reference where you got those thoughts from. For example, a lot of people will come up to me, well, you said X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I don't remember when I said that, where I said that. So give me a little bit of context so that we can dive a little bit deeper. I would say also make sure you get a lot of sleep the night before. The last thing you want to do is to pull an all-nighter and then go meet up with your mentor. So they might be dropping knowledge bombs on you, but guess what? Your brain is half asleep and you're yawning. That's pretty offensive. Like if you came to me and we're going to spend time together and you're yawning, or you seem very distracted, that's not a good thing either. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you get all that nonsense taken care of so that you can focus and be wholly present and listen. Ask a great question and then soak it in. And then don't be afraid to forget about question 2, 3, 4, and 5. If they're on a track and it's super interesting to you, stay on that. Ask follow-up questions and stay with the conversation, okay? You're not trying to do a professional podcast interview. You're really looking for somebody to share deep insight with you. And don't be afraid to get personal. One of the ways you connect with other people is if you're willing to share something. I'm not talking about doing an overshare, but if you want somebody to give you advice about your finances or business ideas, then be ready to talk about your numbers, like what you're billing, what your margins are, what your runway is. And then they're more likely to open up and say, okay, you've done your homework, you're prepared for the meeting. Now, if you're doing this online, the online version is a little bit different, but similar in that you must prepare. Make sure you're in a room that's quiet. Make sure you have a good mic. Make sure that your internet connection is strong. Because if it's got choppy audio, if the Skype call is going like that robot voice, I'm going to lose my patience and I'm gone. I'm not saying like me, but I'm just talking about mentors. I can see that becoming a problem. Okay? All right. Who else has got a question? Maybe we turn it back over.
I had a follow-up question.
Go ahead. Follow-up question, Aaron.
So when you had your mentor, what could you remember a couple of really good questions you asked him that led to good conversations? Maybe the audience can ask something similar.
Okay, I'll relate it back to Mr. Simon Johnson, my typography instructor. I just wanted to know more about his process, how he thought, his favorite typefaces, how he looks at things. So a lot of that you can just see because he does a lot of book design. And when he's doing a book design, he'll actually print out every single page. He lays it out on the floor and he walks around with this pencil like this. And he looks at it and he'll make little marks from 5-6 feet away. From 5-6 feet away, he can see all the little spacing issues that were there that he didn't see up close. And so he's going through and marking hundreds of pages. And that was an interesting process. And I was looking at it, marveling in how detail-oriented he was. But also I was thinking, my God, is that tedious work. I'm definitely not going to be a book designer. I knew that from that. Okay? So all we're trying to do is figure out their process. How do they go from A to Z? And here's another way to think about this, and I've said this before on the show, is you're trying to deconstruct somebody's creative recipe. Think about that. A creative recipe that if you know you follow from preparation to cook time to the way you plate it, you're going to wind up somewhere really close. Now, a lot of creative people don't actually know their own creative recipe, so you just have to be really sharp and say, when you came up with the idea or when you said that to the client, I'm just curious what was going on in your mind. Why did you say this versus something else? So you're trying to help them actually deconstruct their own creative recipe. And that's what you're looking for. Was it 4 tomatoes, 2 mushrooms, and a scallion? And how long did you simmer that for? You're trying to figure that stuff out and make your own parallels no matter what field you're in. It could be in finance, it could be in animation or graphic design. It doesn't really matter. Everybody's got a recipe as to how they make decisions. It's your job to figure that out. Great follow-up question, Aaron. That came in really strong. How many people are tuning in on YouTube right now? Can you give me a number? And Facebook?
360.
We have 360 people on Facebook. I'm sorry, YouTube.
And 80 on
80 on Facebook. One day we're going to have parity between those two, but I assume people are not always on Facebook. Anyways,
And Twitch.
oh, we're streaming on Twitch?
Might wanna
where
announce
was the
that.
announcement? Where's John with the announcement?
Go right and get John.
He's on his chat on his
Should we get John in here real quick?
If he wants to be in here.
Can you run and get?
Just make sure that guy,
He can hear us right now.
Oh, John, come on in the room.
Come on, John.
Come in here.
Make the announcement. We're starting Twitch, you guys. It's a big deal to one person in particular. And I think he wants to school me on a video game. I think he wants me to play Destiny 2 and destroy me so that you guys can all laugh at how bad I am. Okay? Let's see how that goes. All right. Do we have, who's up after Mael? Mael? Yeah, Mael. Thank you.
Okay, we got John in here.
Oh, we
You
got
can do the
John?
announcement
John, step
real
on in.
quick.
John is in the house. Step in the booth.
Step in the booth, dude.
Hello, gang.
Nobody can hear you until you're close to the mic.
Yeah.
Watch the wires.
Oh, my booth?
Yeah.
Come on in.
Share the booth.
Come on
yeah,
in, dude.
go up in
Come
there.
on in. Come on in. Hurry up. We're live, dude. All right, step on in.
Hey, gang.
Who's this?
I'm John Roth.
This is the mic.
That's the mic. That's the camera.
Yeah, that's the camera. That's John. John, what are we doing with Twitch? What's up?
So the Futur is launching a Twitch page. We're not suddenly becoming a gaming channel, but we're going to do a balance of creative stuff during the day and gaming at night. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chris is going to play Skyrim at some point and talk to himself. It's going to be a good time.
Look at this. Hold up your shirt a little bit, you nerd. Look at this.
Destiny 2.
Is that a special pre-order shirt or something?
It is the special E3 shirt, actually.
All right, that's enough nerdiness. All right.
Bye, guys.
All right. See you guys on Twitch. We're going to be doing that. Thank you, John. John does some of the funny voices, and he does the voiceover reads. He's our office manager. We try to involve as many people in this production as possible. All right. Should we do another question, or should we talk to our Zoom people? All right. We're going to do a question from Otto, and then we're going to turn back to Zoom. So whoever's up on deck next, Zach, text them, let them know. All right. Otto, what's the question?
It's on your thing.
Oh, sorry. What is the difference between a coach and a mentor? I don't know what the difference between a coach and a mentor or a psychiatrist or a therapist. They're all the same. People are out there to
defined
teach you.
similarly.
Huh?
They could be defined similarly.
Pretty much. I mean, I think look, guys, I'm going to stay calm. I told them not to get carried away with sound effects. Why do we are so stuck with labels? This is the first round. Hold on. Let me hold this up. Hold on. They're like trying to tell me to keep calm. Hold on. Let me spotlight, stop, pin video. Boom. Look at that. Why do I have one big eye? One of my eyes is jacked up. Let me show the other one. Okay, this is in, is this Spanish?
Chill, Chris.
Tranquilo, Chris. All right. Okay, good. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Look, guys, I just want to say this. Why are we so concerned about labels? What does it matter if you call them your mentor, your coach, a therapist, or dad, or mom, or cousin Mary? Why do we care about labels? All we care about is that this person has experience, knowledge, information that's going to help you grow. You can call them teacher, you can call them whatever it is you want. Let's not worry about that. Okay? Let's not put labels on things. I don't think it helps us. I know we put labels on things to help us understand and categorize things, and that's a natural function. I get that. But for the context of what we're talking about, let's not do that. Why is my face back on? All right. Okay. My screen came all weird. No, I don't want that. What the heck happened? All right. Let's turn it back to Zoom. Zoom, who's ready to speak next? Zach, who do we got on deck, Zach? I can't hear you, Zach. Nope, no audio, Zach. Sorry. Zach is the co-host
We have a
of
donation.
Zoom. We got another donation?
Yeah, we have one from Brian Mitch.
Brian Mitch? Thank you, Brian.
And he has a question. Do you want to do the Zoom first or this one?
Somebody needs to read that.
Okay.
Go ahead. Lean into the mic.
Outside of traditional mentorship, is it possible to be properly mentored without the person's permission via books, articles, following work, etc.?
Now, you know, half the time you look down, half the time you look up. You need to read that straight into the mic because I can't even hear you.
I can't. Okay. Outside of traditional mentorship, is it possible to be properly mentored without the person's permission via books, articles, following work, etc.?
All right. That's a great question. Is it properly, can you get properly mentored by somebody you've never met? What do you guys think? I'm going to ask you guys this question. I assume that the 146,000 or so subscribers to this channel on YouTube haven't actually talked to me. There's no personal relationship and you're learning things. I mean, and one of the reasons that I'm fueled up and fired up every single day is because I read comments like, you just helped me to bill $2,000 for a job before I was charging $200. So can you learn from people across vast distances, people that you never talk to? I think yes, for sure. You're watching this channel because of that, I assume. All right? That's why we read books. I've never met Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn passed away, but I've learned lots from Jim. You know, I never met Massimo Vignelli, but I have his book, the Massimo Vignelli Canon, and I'm reading it. I want to hear his thoughts.
I have a question though. I thought of this.
Okay.
Like, I think for people like you, maybe you have direction on what you want to learn, so you just go learn the things that you know are going to get you to your goal. But for other people, I think mentorship, a big part of it is it gives me direction or helps me define my direction. And then I can research on my own time, but the mentor helps me know what I want to do.
When have you ever experienced that, Aaron, where you've had a mentor where you don't know what you're doing and they're just going to teach you whatever? That sounds like a babysitter.
They don't teach me whatever. They help extract out of me, because they can get to know me, what is important to me, and they help me get that.
Okay, perfect. I like that. Thank you. So you guys that are tuning in on Zoom, you probably couldn't hear that question unless you have one ear split for the YouTube stream. Aaron's saying, like, is there a person who can help extract out of you what you should be doing? Yeah, they're coaches, and you probably meet them all the time. The career counselors, you can come up and talk to them, and if they're really good, they can sit there and ask you a few questions about the things you like, kind of get an assessment of what your strengths and interests are, and make some recommendations. I'm pretty sure, you know, you guys that are not, that you have some kind of family structure. I understand some people are tuning in, may come from a broken family. I don't mean to like exclude you in this conversation, but there's somebody in your family, like a cousin, a great uncle, a great aunt, somebody like that has some life experience that's kind of, maybe it's not exactly related to you, but you think they're wise and they have experience, and maybe you can ask them for some guidance. That's the cheapest way I know how to do that. You can, of course, hire a coach. That's what I did. And we would sit down. We didn't have an agenda at the beginning. And he would say, what's troubling you? What's on your mind? What are you trying to do? What's getting in the way of you doing that? Then we would sit down and talk. And then through that process, he would help me. When I went to see a family therapist, we did the exact same thing. She asked me, tell me about your family history. I want to know, where'd you come from? How many brothers and sisters do you have? How many brothers and sisters do your mom and dad have? And what birth order were you in? Etc. So she can learn about me. And then she would ask me, well, what's on your mind? How can I be of assistance to you? And then you go from there. Okay. There's a great way, you guys. Like, okay, so let's talk about a totally different way to get a mentor. We've been talking about it in a very formal way. There's a different way. Let's say you guys want to intern for a company that you can, like I said, in my experience with my type instructor, he wasn't paying me. I was doing it for free. So it actually cost me money to go there. I had to pay for gas. I wasn't working anywhere else. So there was money that I wasn't making because I was going to help him. But it was worth it for me. So when you put yourself out there to somebody where they can't say no, that's a pretty good way to get a relationship started. I've had people come up to me literally and say, you know what? I don't know what I can offer you. I'm passionate about animation. I'm learning these tools. I know I'm not as good as the people that you normally bring in, but I'm willing to do anything. If you need me to clean the kitchen, if you need me to stack your books in a different order, whatever you need me to do, I want to do it, and I want to do it wholeheartedly. I'm not saying it just so you can say yes. So when you make the offer so good that people are like, okay, this person's pretty driven. They want to do this with me. and I do need some help around here. So what you're doing is you're exchanging your time, which you have a lot of, for somebody else's time that has a lot less of. So if you can save them time, they will return it to you. And that's kind of how we work here, right? So there's some young people here, some people that don't come in from a traditional design background that I'm able to talk to and say, oh, okay, I get it. If you help me do X, Y, and Z, you'll save me 6-7 hours a day. For that, I'll exchange some part of my time and I'll do my best to share with you what it is that I know. And that's a great way to get a relationship started, all right? And what you're looking for, now I don't want the internet to go bananas on me, and it's okay if you do, but let me make sure I explain this correctly, is that you need to also make sure that you're not taken advantage of, that you're not volunteering yourself for something where all you do is you're sweeping the floors, you're cleaning the tables, you're stacking books, but you don't get anything out of it. But there are very few circumstances that I can think of where you will get nothing out of it. Let's just say your mentor, the person that you really wanted to learn from, isn't as available as you thought, but you have access to all their books. And this is something that I did. I used to work at an ad agency in Seattle called Cole & Weber. And one of the greatest opportunities for me was they had all these books and magazines there, things I don't have access to. And I'm a big nerd. So after work, I would hang out there because there's no policy against me not hanging out. I would sit there and I would just read the magazines and books that are laying around. And that was a great way for me to learn things without actually having to buy it or to pay for it. And that was great. So there's lots of ways you can find an opportunity, and even if it's not exactly the way you thought of it in your mind, that you could still take advantage of it. All right, let's go to Zoom. All right, who's up on Zoom? Anybody?
Hi, Chris.
Who said that?
Yep.
You need to raise your hand so I can pick you. I can't see the screen. Who's me?
Juan.
Hold on. Zach, did you pick him, dude? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I see you. I see you. Okay, let me spotlight you. All right. Okay.
Hi, Chris.
Tell me where you're from.
My name is Juan. I'm from Mazatlan, Mexico.
What's your question? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So I have a different point of view on your question. So people sometimes doesn't have the facility to have a physical person as a mentor. So do you agree on this idea of have a different things to have this information on growing by, for example, watching your videos, reading some books, reading articles, chatting with persons, friends on experience about works or closing businesses. So it's a different point of view.
What's your question, man?
Do you agree with that point of view instead of have a physical person as a mentor?
I don't get what you're saying.
I still don't
Chris,
even understand your question. Now, your voice got like a robot voice because of the internet connection, Juan. I'm not sure. Like, can you state it a different way?
What point of view? What do you mean?
Yeah, when you say that point of view, what is that point of view? What's the point of view, Juan?
To have a mentor, not as a person, to have to watching videos, read books, some articles, to go to meetings with friends and chat about the experiences. So because sometimes it's difficult to have a person as a mentor.
Okay, I got it.
Person, physical person.
Okay, we got you.
Cut your camera. What is he saying?
He's saying, basically, I feel like, Juan, to answer your question, I feel like that's exactly what Chris has been saying this whole time, that you don't need a physical mentor. You just need to read books and be hungry and ask the right questions and use the internet.
Juan, can you hear that answer?
No.
No? Okay. What Aaron is saying is if we understand your question correctly, I've been saying the same thing, and I'm not sure what the heck we're talking about here. I think he's challenging me and saying maybe that's not true, that you actually need a physical person to teach you. Is that what you're saying, Juan?
Kind of. I have a different point of view.
Okay, your point of view is...
Yeah, what's your point of view?
Yeah, his point of view is the books and the videos are not as effective as a real person, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying too.
Yeah. Okay, 100%. All right, cut to me full screen. All right, here's the thing. When you have option A and option B, you can choose which one works for you. I'm not saying that a person who's going to spend their time and give you individual attention is not as good as a book. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But assuming that you don't have access to Mark Cuban or Gary Vaynerchuk or whoever it is you look up to, or Aaron Droplin, whoever it is, Paula Scher, all right? What are you going to do? What's the next best thing? So you can choose to do this. I'm going to assume that you can't get access to them. So what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and you're going to pout and say, well, I want option A or nothing. Or you start reading their books, you watch their videos, you attend their lectures, you do what you can. Now, I've learned a tremendous amount of information without any teachers, all right? I've been reading books and I get the same knowledge. It's almost if the person is talking to me, they're just talking to me inside my head. And that works for me. And if you can have personalized attention, great, go do that. But usually there's an issue of access, an issue of time, and sometimes an issue of money. Like they need to be paid for their time. And you might not be in the same city or there's some other issue going on, okay? So did you have something else you want to say about this? Because otherwise I'm going to switch over to something else. Juan, anything else you want to say?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
For example, I have a mentor. It is you, because I watch the videos. I read the books that you put on the list. So you can have a mentor instead of have a physical person with me on by my side. So can be.
Awesome, dude. Great.
I think we're agreeing. I think you just agreed with me, right?
He's my mentor too, man. So, you know.
Okay, it's all good. Okay, very good.
People.
I don't understand the argument. I think we're saying the same thing. And I'm going to move on, okay? Thank you very much, Juan from Mazatlan. No.
Juan from Mazatlan.
Yeah.
Juan from Mazatlan.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I'm saying it because
okay.
I don't speak Spanish, man.
Wait, we have 2 donations.
We have 2 donations. Yay! Is there a bell we can ring?
Yeah. We have one from Lauren Jordan.
Nobody can hear you.
We have one from Lauren Jordan, and he said, "What are your thoughts, experience with mastermind groups?"
Okay, Juan. What was his name? No.
Lauren Jordan.
Lauren. I was gonna call him Juan Jordan. It's like I'm stuck on Juan. Okay, Lauren Jordan. Thank you very much for your super chat. Appreciate it. And your question is, what's my experience with mastermind groups? I've not been in any mastermind group myself, so I don't know. But from what I hear from my friends who have done these kinds of things, it's been very good.
Okay, we have another one.
Okay, like Toastmasters? Is that a mastermind group? Toastmasters, you guys? Anybody here have been in a part of mastermind group? Anybody? No? We're all like idiot minds because nobody's got the mastermind. Anybody on Zoom been on a mastermind group? Anybody? Now, some people say like our pro group is starting to become like that, but I don't know. I've not been in one, so I can't say for sure. Okay, Spanish teacher. I'm not trying to learn Spanish, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Jesus Corona. I appreciate it. Okay, we got another question?
We have another donation from Mary Lise Andrea.
Hold up the laptop, dude. Come on, Otto, you got to learn your thing.
And he said, Christo looks like a Buddhist monk. He's got the wisdom of a Buddhist monk. Get him an orange robe already.
Amidofo.
Where's the gong?
Do we have a gong?
Where is it?
Get the gong going. Come on, boy. Okay, let me calm down. Welcome, my friends. Here we are. All right.
I have a great comment.
Okay, swing it in. Swing the mic in. Come on, guys. You guys have to get on. Hey, can we get more mics? Don't we own like 5 mics? Come on. Next time. Okay.
I think this is a great point that you brought up also. But just to reiterate, Connor Fowler says you have to bring as much value to your mentor as they bring for you. You can't just be there and sit in and take. You got to give too.
Yeah, how can you do that? How can I give value to my mentor as a mentee?
That's a great follow-up question to a great follow-up comment. Now it's like Inception. Like we're 3 layers into the dream, you guys. 3 layers into the dream. So in case you guys couldn't hear what was being said, Mark was reading a comment. And he's like, make sure that there's a good value exchange, that you can't just be a leech, basically, that you have to provide value, equal or greater value to your mentor because their time is worth so much more. And so Aaron's like, Well, how do I provide value to somebody? Like, who am I? Well, let's talk about Aaron. Aaron came here, and he came here because of an introduction through Jose. And Aaron is an aspiring filmmaker, and he has a lot to learn, but he's got some tools and some techniques. He's ready to go. Otto, what are you doing? Come on. Get your finger off that thing. We were doing so well. All right. Anyway, so Aaron said, I just want to help out. So Aaron worked here as a volunteer for exactly $0, right? And you worked here for a really long time, actually, and you're just trying to prove value. So if I needed something, if we needed to shoot something, you would run out and you get it. Or if we needed to set up something, you would do it as well. And so you're using your physical labor, anything that you can do physically to help and to prove your value every single day. Now, luckily for you, Aaron, luckily for you, I'm a fair-minded guy. So I see a guy who's giving this effort, who's trying so hard to be here. I'm now busting my butt thinking about what can I do to provide value back to you. So I pulled Aaron aside, and Aaron, you could tell me if I'm lying here. I pulled you aside one day where we're at Tender Greens, and I said, you know what? Oh, I remember what I mentioned to Jose. It's like, this guy drives to work every single day. He's spending money on gas. We need to give him gas and lunch money. At least it shouldn't cost him money just to be here, right? So let's cover that. So we would work on that. And then I told him, it's my goal to get you here so I can start paying you 1 day a week. Then we would pay him for 1 day a week. Then it went to 2 days a week, and then 3 days, 4 days, and then 5 days a week. And then ultimately, I said, you know what? I want to put you on staff so you have health insurance and you have some kind of security net, like if you get sick and you can take vacations, that kind of thing. And he's like, oh, that would mean so much to me. And that's what happened. So Aaron is officially the Future's first full-time employee. And that's how it happened. So it was a very simple value exchange. You gave whatever you could. And you never came into the office with a sour attitude. You tried your best. Now, you weren't perfect, but you did your best, and that's what matters. Okay?
Follow-up question.
Are you crying? What's going on?
I'm not crying.
Your voice broke a little bit.
We have a donation too.
Okay, hold on, everybody. Get in the queue.
Follow-up
question. Yes.
You said I wasn't perfect. Could you elaborate on that?
This is not the Aaron and Chris therapy show. We got to move on.
Okay, let's go to the super chat question.
Super chat question. Let's do it.
He doesn't have a question, but he just wants to say thank you. His name is Brandon Shirley.
Brandon Shirley, thank you very much for your super chat donation. I really appreciate it. No question. Thank you. That's bottom of my heart. Thank you very much. Okay. What are we going to do now? Zoom? Okay, we only have 10 more minutes before I close out the show. Okay, somebody raise your hand, like digitally. No. Put your hand back down. Digitally, raise your hand. Okay, there we go. All right, Marius gets in first. Marius, let me pin this. How do I do that? Spotlight video. Marius, you ready? Fire away. Man.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Perfect. Go ahead.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm Marius from Frankfurt, Germany. And my question is, it's more about learning in general. I just wanted to ask you if you have some tips on how to effectively learn, and if you have followed some certain strategies that have worked for you very well.
That is an amazing question, Marius. How old are you, man?
I'm 25.
You're 25. Okay. That is a kind of question that's like beyond 25 years old. And people in the other room are nodding. It's like, all right. They can give it to you. Okay. Look, we are going to end the show on this one question. We're going to end it right here. And we can have a little follow-up conversation about it. So everybody just tune your brain in now. Just listen. Okay. Marius is asking, how do you become like an amazing learner? Like, I think I'm a hyper learner, and I just gave myself that label. I wasn't certified by anybody. I took no tests, and nobody acknowledged it except for me. And the way I've learned is this. 1, okay? Be wholly present. When you're in class, when somebody's talking to you, you got to quiet all the thoughts. Stop thinking about what you want to eat for lunch, that you got to pick up dry cleaning, or you got some bills to pay, or you got this bad client you got to go deal with after this, right? So you got to be wholly here, and you have to listen intently. And the way I listen, there's a very specific way I listen. My brain is recording the important parts of our conversation. And that's why when you guys talk and you come in with these long stories, I'm trying to remember where you're from, because you told me that, how old you are and this client and all the details. And before I know it, my mind is like jammed up. That's why I tell you guys, come at me with a question and be clear. I'll follow up with you. So in my mind, I'm taking note of any specific important things, like something I already know, I'm not going to write down. I'm not literally taking notes of everything that's being said, only the most relevant things. So if you guys watch me, when I'm talking to people and they're a little disorganized with their thoughts, somehow I'm miraculously able to summarize everything they were able to say in like 3 bullet points. That's because each time I hear an important thought, I make a note of it. Either physically, I write it down, or I make a mental note of it. Now, there's a lot of people who believe this. I'm not sure about the science myself, but I'm going to do it. When you hear something important, use your pen or pencil and physically write it down. They said that there's a connection, it's a neuromotor skill, and writing it down, the act of writing, moving your hand, makes it more ingrained into your mind. Does that make sense? So that's different than typing it on a keyboard. That's different than using your touchscreen to like write the note. Write the note on pen and paper. And in preparation for the show, you can see this. I'm going to bring it to the camera here so you guys, let me bring it right there. You guys can see that? See, I write, right? So I'll show it to you. You see I write. I have notes. You know, I do a little prep, not a ton. And that helps me to remember what the heck I'm going to talk about. Okay? It helps me to organize my thoughts. And so the other thing you got to do, I don't know how to say this like in like a scientific term, but you got to just kill the ego. A lot of people are going to say things to you that are going to challenge your assumptions. It's going to challenge your beliefs. And you want to be challenged, because otherwise, why are you there, right? Why are you listening to somebody? Because if you want to be the same, save yourself some time. Go skateboarding or surfing. Go hang out at the bar, because you'll be the same person you were yesterday. But the whole point is they're going to say things that are going to be really uncomfortable for you, and you have to start dealing with that. So kill the ego and put all that stuff aside. There's an expression I read the other day. It said something like this. If you're open to learning, criticism will sound like advice. And it's really important. And you have to kind of make that mental switch in your brain. So criticism, criticism will sound like advice. And that's what you're looking for. Now, I'm going to give you guys a personal story, and then we'll open it up to anything. Excuse me. Can you guys cut away to your camera? I got a drink or something. Thank you. I gave a lecture yesterday. My throat is like almost at 0% right now. Okay. Tell you a little personal story. And a lot of people ask me, like, Chris, how do I get to be a better speaker? I'm afraid of speaking, and you seem to do it so naturally. It seems so easy for you. Do you have any tips on that? And that could not be the furthest from the truth. Many years ago, I would say like 4 or 5 years ago, it could be a little bit longer than that, my business coach told me, you're such a shy, introverted guy, you are killing your company. Not literally, of course. You're figuratively killing your company because you're hiding out in your room. Clients come by. You don't go and talk to them. So when your creative director or whoever they're talking to either quits or gets fired, guess who has a relationship? They don't even know you. And he said that you underestimate the power of being an owner. And I asked him, like, what does that even mean, the power of being an owner? Well, when you go to a restaurant and the chef walks out and asks you, how was your meal today? How was our service? Is there anything we could have done better? You feel like, wow, that was amazing. Now this person has made an impression on you. Like, it's important enough for the owner to come out and speak to you. So I had to get over myself. And I would then now go into these rooms and I would say, hi. And I would say the same thing. I would say, how do we do? Are we fulfilling our promises to you? Is there anything we can do better? Because if not, please let me know. I want to fix that. So I started to come out of my shell. And then I was thinking, well, what's the next thing? He said, well, I want you to volunteer to go and speak at as many design talks as you can. You know, deep swallow, like, ugh, that sounds horrible, right? So then I started to go and speak. And the first couple of times I bombed. In my mind, it was horrible. Keynote didn't work. I lost all my notes and I was just stumbling through it. You can hear my voice shake, you know, and people felt bad for me. Like, I'm not there to get your pity. I'm there to share something with you. And so I started to, you know, you build some calluses around the things, your scars, your battle wounds, you know, and you get a little bit tougher. And that's how you learn. Another way you learn, and this is going to sound weird, the best way to learn, and my friend Jose Caballa used to say this all the time, the best way to learn is to go teach. That sounds really weird, right? So people are asking me, why are you so confident? How'd you get this way? Was it something your parents did or a class you took or somebody gave you some advice? And my answer is, I don't know. I just believe in myself. And now I have to dig into my brain and figure it out. The process of me examining my own thoughts and my process of how I know what I know it actually makes me a little wiser, and I can now explain it to people. And that's why I read books like this, because somebody wants to know. So now I'm doing research to figure out, I wonder why, excuse me, I wonder why it is that I know what I know, and I wonder if it to be true. So as I'm reading these books, I'm like, yeah, that is what is happening to me. Okay, so let's recap, guys, because that was a lot of information to take in, and Mark's leaning in. Give me 1 second. Let me recap before we wrap up the show. 1 is you got to be present. 2, you have to listen intently to pull out the important pieces. 3, you need to write these things down. Write it down with your hand, with your pen. Neuromotor skills are working for you. You got to kill the ego. Things that you're going to hear are going to be uncomfortable for you. And you have to realize, in order for you to grow, you have to go out of your comfort zone. There will be discomfort there. And to try to embrace and do those things that you're most afraid of. And that's how you're going to be a great learner. And number 5, I think it's number 5, is the best way to learn is to teach. Okay, Mark, what do you got?
So to your point about teaching so that you can learn, do you feel like it's best that you teach what you don't know so that you learn that topic?
Teach what you know, because you might not know as much as you think you know. For example, somebody would ask me, why do you think that's good design? And something that I've accepted as something that I know, turns out I actually don't know. I have to sit there and I have to think about that. Like, why do I say that's good? What criteria am I using to judge whether it's good or bad? How do I know if that's a good idea or a bad idea? How do I know that's a good design or not? And that's how I know. Okay? So then I have to break down my own thought process and figure it out. There's this video about this guy who inverted the steering wheel of a bicycle. So if you turn left, the wheel would go right. And when you turn right, the wheel would go left. It took him over a year to learn how to ride a bicycle this way. Right? And he says something like, one of his conclusions was, knowledge does not equal understanding. I know how to ride a bike, but I do not understand how it works and how I'm able to control it. So you might know design, but that doesn't mean you understand how to talk about design to another person. You might not even understand your own process. And so a lot of creative people, they torture themselves. They sit there and work all night and to get their idea out. And the reason is because I don't think they have a better process than to sit there and grind it out. So examine your process. You will work faster, and that's what I'm able to do. All right, I think I need to close this thing out. Let's cue the music. You guys, thank you everybody on Zoom for tuning in. And thanks for dealing with the technical difficulties, you guys. And we'll have to edit the show at some point, Aaron, and chop off the beginning. Yeah? All right, guys. Thank you, and see you guys next time.